Not only is my constituents, Neil and Jennifer, are the parents of Faye who died. It's a really awful disease, and they've asked me to be a voice for their concerns and wanting to prevent other children suffering. So I want to push the government to look at this again. That's why I raised it with the Prime Minister.
But they've looked at this. They've followed the advice of the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation. They followed that advice, and the advice was, we can't extend this. It's not cost effective. So presumably they've got very little room for manoeuvre.
Well, what I know they're doing as well is looking at whether it's possible to start vaccinating teenagers, whether that might give something called herd immunity and therefore protect very young children from the disease as well. There's also work going on to look at how the assessments are made on the cost effectiveness of vaccinations, and I'm pushing for that work to happen.
Do you accept that cost is, however heartless, a consideration in making these decisions? There's always a cut-off point, and there's always somebody, however tragically, that falls outside it.
I mean, it's really, really difficult to talk about the questions of cost when you're dealing with something as horrid as a disease like meningitis B. But yes, you do have to look at what is the best way to use a limited amount of NHS resources. So you have to make sure that that money is well spent, it comes into it. But you can look again at the cost effectiveness and also on the public awareness front.
And is there a problem that when you're shifting funding from one part of the NHS saying this is important, we need to protect children from meningitis B, you're often taking it from an area where there are other parents, other people saying, hang on a second, we need to fund this drug more effectively?
Exactly, there are really difficult choices to be made, for instance, between treatment and between vaccination and between different vaccination programmes. There's something I want to see is more emphasis put on prevention and vaccination over treatment.
Do you think the government, in a word, do you think the government will change its mind?
I think the government is taking this very seriously.
Thank you very much indeed, Helen Whately. I suspect that petition will actually go a little bit higher before this gets